For the first time in American history, there are more citizens that are willing to have weed legalized than there are that want it criminalized. Now, in 2013, this was the first year that Colorado and Washington actually legalized it for not only medical use but recreational, and since then it has been booming. In fact, over half the country's population at 58% decided that it should be legal. 3 reasons that we should legalize marijuana is that it'll build the economy, it is a great alternative for prescriptionized drugs, and it is also less addictive and less harmful than already legal substances such as alcohol and tobacco. Now, the first point is the economical standpoint. In 2015, Colorado collected more than $135 million in taxes sold from marijuana at medicinal and recreational purposes. Now, the state sales overall was at $996 million. This is including how much it costs to actually buy the marijuana. In North America, sales grew at 30% to $6.7 billion in 2016 and is projected to grow to $20.1 billion in 2021. Now, this is just Colorado, a fairly smaller state compared to California. California, which is a lot larger in population and size, could exceed $15 billion in their first year and $3 billion in tax revenues. This is way more than Colorado's sales tax ever is. Not only is it creating money, but it's also creating jobs. In Nevada, who has just recently legalized it in 2017, they have created 41,000 jobs, and this is creating $1.7 billion in revenue income. Now, bigger states such as California, again, has created 81,000 jobs, and this is creating $3.5 billion, which if you broke that down to each person working that job, that's about $43,000 a year. Now imagine if we just took, instead of 8 states, we've had all 50 legalize it. The next point would be the medicinal standpoint. 81% of Americans agree that medical marijuana should be legal in all 50 states. Scientists say that since there are so many limitations on the practice of THC and marijuana and what we can actually do with it, there are so many unknown possibilities that we could do. And so, without the more research, we are unsure of what the extents it could be. The few extents that we know it can work with is convulsions, chronic pain, muscle spasms, glaucoma, and can even slow or prevent the growth of cancer-like cells. And then there are fair amounts of evidence that marijuana does not harm the lungs. In fact, according to the American Medical Association, not only does medical marijuana not impair your lungs, but it can actually help your respiratory system. Now, the last point is the safety of the drug. Now, you can go out to any convenience stores, or most of them, and you can pick up a 6-pack and a pack of cigarettes, and it's all fine. But if you go to certain states, such as Colorado, Nevada, California, you can go to these states and pick up some weed. Compared to all the other drugs, legal and illegal, such as cocaine, heroin, ibuprofen, Tylenol, weed is relatively safe to use. The number of overdoses are sky high for all drugs. In fact, ever since 2000, the overdose percentage of Americans has increased by 137%. Now, on average, there's about 900 deaths from drugs containing acetaminophen. And then about 2,000 cases in the last 10 years have had 43 deaths reporting from the United States of use of aspirins. And then ever since human history, there have been 0 from overdose of weed. It is also less addictive than other substances. For example, weed is a third less addictive as tobacco, and it is only half as addictive as alcohol. And yet these 2 substances are just fine and dandy to use in America. In conclusion, like every other substance, it should be used with safety and within limitations, but it should be legalized. It'll build the economy and create jobs. It's good for the medicinal marijuana use because there's so many uses for it, and there's so many ones that we don't even know about yet. And lastly, it's more safe and less addictive than the legal substances now. Now, after my speech, I hope you guys can think about using your votes to legalize marijuana in the future. Thank you.